Hey guys, YouTuber 100 here. Alright, and now here I am, like I said I was going to do before, with a retro Starrcade review. And for this review, this is going to be a review for Starrcade 1998. So, yeah, so, this show, ugh. Now, this show was, this was really like the last time Starrcade really did feel kind of like actually kind of like a big show. Like this was really like the last uh time that Starrcade really did feel like it really was a big deal. It wasn't really like a really good show though. Like yeah, this of course was like when WCW really was like a pretty much like going downhill. Like I already have said before, like how the previous year Starrcade 1997 really was a kind of the start of WCW really just really going downhill. Yeah, especially during like in like pretty much like 1998 in general, like was really when WCW really started getting really bad. Like I've already talked about like some of their events from 1998, how like some of those were like pretty bad. Yeah, and this really was not really all that good either. I mean, there are like a few good things about the show. Like the show does have kind of like a few good matches, but yeah, this still like was not really good. Like pretty much the entire middle portion of the show is like a really bad. Especially like this show really does have three really horrible matches. And yeah, and pretty much like everything else, like in the middle of the show, really was not very good either. Yeah, and of course, like this show does like have like uh really well-known moment from WCW with the end of the show, which I am sure like a lot of you do know what I'm talking about, but I'll get to that when I reach it in this video. But yeah, this really just did seem to really just be like an example of like how bad WCW really was getting at this time. Like, yeah, of course, like this was the last WCW pay per view of 1998, and then going into 1999. Of course, like we all know how bad it got that year. Yeah, so this really was just like an example of, like the direction WCW was really heading towards during this time because yeah, this really was like a pretty bad show with a few positives about it, but yeah, just a really terrible middle portion of the show. So yeah, this really was just a pretty bad show overall. Yeah, but like I said, this really was like the last time Starrcade really did feel like a big deal. Yeah, but still not really a good show. So yeah, so I just really don't know what else to really say about it. So yeah, so I guess I'll just talk about the card of the show. All right. So the show kicked off with a triple threat match for the Cruiserweight Championship. It was Billy Kidman defending against Rey Mysterio Jr. and Juventud Guerrera. And yeah, and this was a pretty great match overall. Yeah, as I said many times before, like the cruiserweight division really was just like one of the best things about WCW. Even like in the last few years when WCW was really bad, like the cruiserweight still like really did like go all out. And yeah, this really seemed like even when like WCW really was like in its like final years when they were like getting really bad, like it seemed like the cruiserweights like were like really like going all out to really just to show how great they were. Because yeah, as I've said before, like even like during these like bad years for WCW, the cruiserweights really did have like some really great matches. Yeah, and this match really is like another example of that. This really was just like a really awesome match right here. Like, yeah, this was like still during the time of the Latino World Order, and yeah, both Juventud Guerrera and Rey Mysterio were members. But yeah, of course, like if you remember, like the LWO, Rey Mysterio was not like a willing member. He like just joined against his will, so he really didn't follow suit with anyone else in the stable. Yeah, so he wasn't really like a working with a Juventud Guerrera in this match. Like he really was like working more with Billy Kidman in the match. Like early on in the match, like Rey Mysterio and Billy Kidman really were just doing a lot of double team moves on Juventud Guerrera. Yeah, there was this one point where uh, Rey Mysterio was on Billy Kidman's shoulders, and Juventud like went for a crossbody, but Rey Mysterio ducked and then tried to roll up Billy Kidman. But yeah, he survived. Yeah, and there were like a lot of double team moves from both Rey Mysterio and Billy Kidman to Juventud Guerrera throughout this match. And yeah, there were a lot of high flying moves in the match. Like yeah, one spot I liked was like how when there was another spot where Rey Mysterio was on Billy Kidman's shoulders, then Juventud then just like jump from the ropes and then like hit a Hurricane Rana on Rey Mysterio. Yeah, and yeah, there were just like a lot of really great moments in this match, and a lot of like high flying moves. Like there was this one point where Billy Kidman and Rey Mysterio were like on the outside of the ring, and then Juventud just flew over the top rope down onto them. Yeah, yeah, then there was this one point where Billy Kidman like performed like a shooting star press to both Rey Mysterio and Juventud. Then eventually then Eddie Guerrero, who of course was the leader of the Latino World Order, came out, and tried to like assist Juventud and Rey Mysterio. But then like as a Billy Kidman had a Juventud in a roll up, Eddie then like as the referee was distracted, uh re- tried to reverse it for Juventud to get have a sunset flip on Billy Kidman. But then, yeah, Rey Mysterio then just drop kicked Juventud Guerrero, and then that allowed Billy Kidman to get a roll up once again, and then was able to pin Juventud Guerrero and win the match. And Billy Kidman ended up retaining the cruiserweight title. So yeah, so this really was just a real great match, and this was definitely the best match of the show. Yeah. So yeah, great opener right here. And yeah, and once again, like I said, this really was just like an example of like how great the cruiserweight division in WCW really was. So yeah, real great match. I give it a 4.25. Yeah, yeah. Then after this match, like Eddie Guerrero was just like kind of giving a lecture to both Juventud Guerrera and Rey Mysterio. And just like expressing his frustration about like how Rey Mysterio really is not working with the group and everything. Yeah, then pretty much just like issuing a challenge to Billy Kidman once again. So yeah, so then Billy Kidman came back out and accepted the challenge. So yeah, then we had another cruiserweight championship match right here between Billy Kidman and Eddie Guerrero. And this also was a really good to great match. I mean, this wasn't as good as the triple threat, but yeah, this was still once again a really good to great match right here. And yeah, just another example of how great the cruiserweight division really was. Yeah, despite the fact that Billy Kidman had just wrestled a match right here, he still did really well here. Yeah, he still was able to like just go face to face with Eddie Guerrero, and he really wasn't like rusty or tired or slow or anything. Like he still did really good here. Yeah, during this match, both Juventud Guerrera and Rey Mysterio were like still at ringside for the match. Like there were times where like Juventud would like try to help Eddie like to perform like some dirty moves to moves, but yeah, Rey Mysterio would always like run over to break it up. Yeah, and Eddie Guerrero like just was all trying to use dirty tactics throughout the match, and whenever Juventud would try to help, Rey Mysterio would just break it up. Yeah, and the match really did just go back and forth. Billy Kidman ended like at one point countered like a power bomb into a set out facebuster. Yeah, then like they just like continued to go back and forth. At one point, Eddie Guerrero like hit Billy Kidman with his boot. Yeah, then like it just continued to go back and forth with Eddie just trying to use some dirty tactics against Billy Kidman. Yeah. Then at one point, Eddie's bodyguard from the LWO came out and like tried to distract the referee. And at one point, like as Eddie was like was trying to like uh go like give Billy Kidman like a superplex or like do like something on the turnbuckle with the help of Juventud Guerrera. Like Rey Mysterio just like broke it up once again, and it caused Eddie to like get hung up over the top rope, and then Billy Kidman then was able to hit a shooting star press on Eddie Guerrero and ended up pinning him and retaining the title. So yeah, so Billy Kidman wins once again. Yeah. So this was also like another really good degree match. As I said, it wasn't as good as the triple threat, but still really good. And yeah, Billy Kidman was just great at wrestling like two matches back to back like this. So yeah, so once again, just really good to great match right here. I give this like I guess I'll go with a 3 3/4 for this match. Yeah, so once again, really good match. But then after this is really just like where the show does get really bad. Like, yeah, like the next few matches on the show were just horrible. Like, yeah, the show really just did enter like an awful period right here. Like, the next three matches on the show were really just so bad, and I really don't even want to talk about them, but yeah, they were really bad. Like, you had Norman Smiley versus Prince Iaukea, which was an awful match. Had Perry Saturn versus Ernest the Cat Miller, which sucked. And you had Brian Adams and Scott Norton versus Fit Finley and Jerry Flynn, which was also terrible. So yeah, so the show really did have like an awful period right there with the next three matches. Like I really don't want to talk about those matches at all because they were just really bad and there's nothing memorable about any of those matches. But yeah, these matches were just terrible. I mean, really, like this is like WCW's biggest event of the year. It's like the WCW equivalent of WrestleMania, and yet they have matches like these on their biggest show of the year. Here, like, seriously, this is you could just like get this crap right here on like Thunder or something, but really, just this is what you have on Starrcade. I mean, yeah, all three of those matches just like suck. So yeah, I don't even want to talk about those matches. Like, I'll have my ratings for those matches down in the description, but yeah, all three of those matches were just absolutely terrible. So yeah, yeah, but yeah, let me just move on from this and yeah, let's just talk about like when the show does kind of like get somewhat better, but still not very good. All right. So yeah. So then after the Brian Adams and Scott Norton versus Fit Finley and Jerry Flynn match, yeah. Next up, then we had the television title on the line with Konnan defending against Chris Jericho. Yeah. And what was interesting here, like something that I noticed, is that at one point they like cut to the fans in the crowd, and you do actually see Stacy Keibler in the crowd right there. So I thought that was interesting to see. Yeah, I mean, of course, like Stacy Keibler did like join WCW. I think like it was either in '99 or 2000. I forgot exactly when exactly she became part of WCW. But yeah, but it was interesting to actually see her in the crowd as a fan right here. Yeah, yeah. But anyway, yeah, Chris Jericho versus Konnan. Yeah, this wasn't like really terrible, but this still was a pretty disappointing match. I mean, this was like really just as mediocre could really be. I mean, there really wasn't anything memorable about this match at all. Like it was just like the two guys fighting. I mean, you had them like fighting on the outside of the ring. I think like the steel steps got involved at one point. I think Konnan like at one point like I countered the walls of Jericho or something. Something, yeah, and and yeah, Konnan like was just like fighting off Chris Jericho. Like it kind of went back and forth. At one point, Chris Jericho hit Konnan with the TV title belt. Yeah, then Konnan then fought back with like a face jam or something. And then yeah, then eventually Konnan then was able to submit Chris Jericho with the Tequila Sunrise. Oh, yeah, so Konnan won the match and retained the TV title. So yeah, so like I said, this match really was just like as mediocre could be. I mean, this was like a really big disappointment. Like it wasn't like a terrible match like the last three matches before this were, but yeah, still like very disappointing and mediocre. So yeah, yeah. So that this match really did leave a lot to be desired, but yeah, at least it wasn't terrible. So yeah, so that match I would give probably like I guess I would give that 2 stars. Then next up, then we had Eric Bischoff versus Ric Flair. Yeah, and now this wasn't really good, but I mean, given that it was Eric Bischoff, who wasn't really a wrestler, and Ric Flair, he was like, I think he was just like about to turn 50 at this point. I guess this was probably like as good as you could expect it to be. Yeah, I mean, yeah, it wasn't something where like Ric Flair just like was like just like totally beating down Bischoff, and it really was just like a joke of a match. It wasn't like that. Like, yeah, I mean, this was actually like a pretty decent back and forth match, given like it was Eric Bischoff in there. Yeah, it just kind of went back and forth like a Ric Flair, like just like with using like knife edge chops, punches, and kicks to Eric Bischoff, and then Eric Bischoff was kind of like having his martial arts fight style. Like he like threw like a couple of martial arts kicks to Ric Flair. Yeah, yeah. Then Ric Flair just like used some dirty tactics in the match, like low blows and knife edge chops, and then yeah, and it went on for about like 7 minutes. It just kind of went back and forth, and then yeah, then when as the referee was knocked out, then Ric Flair then like hit some suplexes on Eric Bischoff, and then got him in the figure four leg lock. Yeah, but as he had the figure four on Eric Bischoff, and as the referee was down, then Kurt Hennig, or Mr. Perfect, they ran down and gave Eric Bischoff some kind of weapon. They didn't really like actually like clearly show what it was. I don't know if it was like brass knucks or something, but yeah, Eric Bischoff then nailed Ric Flair with the weapon, and that knocked Ric Flair out. And then as the referee then recovered, Eric Bischoff then pinned Ric Flair and got the win. So yeah, so Eric Bischoff won the match. So yeah, so this match wasn't good, but I mean, yeah, like I said, it probably was as good as it could have been, given like Eric Bischoff wasn't really a wrestler. So yeah, so I guess like it delivered as well as it could. So yeah, so I guess I would give that probably like a 2.25. Then next up we had Diamond Dallas Page versus the Giant, and yeah, this was okay as well. I mean, yeah, this was actually one of the better matches of the show. Yeah. So yeah, so this was really like when the Giant was really coming to the end of his WCW run. Like he was only in WCW for like a couple more weeks after this. Of course, like he would uh he would debut as the Big Show in the WWF a couple of months later at St. Valentine's Day Massacre. Yeah. So yeah, so this was really like when he was like just coming to the end of his WCW run. So yeah, so I guess like at this point like he really was just like doing anything that he was really like able to do until like he was like actually like went to the WWF. Yeah, and the same thing with Chris Jericho here. Like, yeah, this was also like when Chris Jericho was really coming to the end of his WCW run as well. Like his last WCW pay per view was Uncensored 1999, which was just a few months after this. So yeah, so this was just like really like the time when like Chris Jericho and the Giant or Big Show were really like coming to the end of their WCW runs. Yeah, so I guess like that is like something else significant about the show. Yeah, but anyway, getting to this match. Yeah, like I said, this was an okay match right here. Like it did like go back and forth, and yeah, there were like some good moments in the match. Like DDP really did look pretty good against the Giant here. Like, yeah, there were like some points in the match where like a DDP would like reverse some of the Giant's big moves. Like I think there was like one point where the Giant like tried to go for a chokeslam, but DDP reversed into a DDT. Yeah, Yeah, and it did like kind of go back and forth. Like there wasn't really like too much that was memorable about the match, but yeah, there were like some good moments in the match. Which, yeah, at one point, like the Giant had a bear hug on DDP, but DDP was able to get out of it after biting the Giant's forehead. Yeah, 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 and it did like kind of go back and forth. At one point, DDP hit like a tornado DDT on the Giant, and they both were down. And as the referee was knocked out, then like Bret Hart then came out and tried to hit DDP with a chair, but DDP ducked, and Bret Hart accidentally hit the Giant. And, yeah, then DDP then disposed of Bret Hart, and then as DDP then tried to go for some flying clotheslines. The Giant then ended up like catching him. Then, as the Giant then was like trying to go for another chokeslam, then DDP was able to counter it into a diamond cutter, which did look pretty cool. Like the way that like DDP kind of like just like swung out of the chokeslam and nailed the diamond cutter on the Giant was pretty cool. Yeah. Then that allowed DDP to get the pin, and DDP ended up winning the match. So yeah, so this match was okay. Like it was like a solid back and forth action between the two. Just like not really a whole lot memorable, but yeah, there were like a few good moments and a nice ending. So yeah, so with that match, I guess I would give it probably like a 2.5 stars. Yeah. And then we got the main event, the WCW World Championship on the line. Goldberg defending against Kevin Nash. And yeah, I guess overall this was a good match, I guess. I mean, not like really good or great or anything, but it was a solid match. It was yeah, it was pretty good. Like yeah, and this was also no disqualification match as well. Yeah. Yeah, and this match was overall it was good. Like it was a good back and forth match. Like they did like hit some of their big moves early on. Like at one point, like early on, I think Goldberg ended up spearing Kevin Nash, and then Goldberg also then ended up like hitting like getting an ankle lock on Kevin Nash at one point in the match. Yeah, then Nash like at one point like threw Goldberg into a turnbuckle and then had a corner foot choke on Goldberg. Yeah. Yeah. Then at one point, as like Goldberg was going to hit Kevin Nash with a jackhammer, Kevin Nash then was able to like avoid it by giving Goldberg a low blow. Yeah. Yeah, and then then it just like did kind of like go back and forth, and yeah, both guys just kind of did get some big moves in throughout the match. Yeah, this match was like relatively short though. This match was only about like 11 minutes long, so yeah, it really does make me wonder like why this match was so short. I mean, it wasn't even like they like were wasting time with like a bunch of like dumb like segments. I mean, you did like have like a couple of promos cut in the match, and you did kind of like have some interviews throughout. But yeah, it wasn't like anything where like they were like taking up a whole bunch of time. So yeah, so I do kind of like wonder like why they did have this match be like relatively short like that. I mean, even the show really kind of like did seem like it went by kind of quick. So I didn't it didn't even seem like they really like were really like going that long. So yeah, it's just like really strange. Like this match really didn't last very long. It was only like 11 minutes long. Yeah, but anyway, yeah, getting back to it. Yeah, then yeah, then Goldberg then then uh, tried to fight back on Kevin Nash after like Kevin Nash was like targeting Goldberg's back, and then Goldberg then hit a swinging neck breaker and a super kick on Kevin Nash. Yeah, then Goldberg then hit like a well, yeah. Then Goldberg was really like gaining the upper hand on Kevin Nash with a front power slam rather, and a spinning heel kick. Yeah, and then so it looked like Goldberg like was going in for the kill. Then we just had like a couple of run-ins. At one point, Disco Inferno ran out and tried to like attack Goldberg, but Goldberg took him out. Yeah. Then Bam Bam Bigelow then ran out and tried to also go after Goldberg, but yeah, Goldberg was able to take Bam Bam out as well. Then as the referee and some security were like trying to get Bam Bam out of there. Then, as Goldberg was then going for a spear on Kevin Nash, then Scott Hall then appeared dressed like as a security guard and like a tasing Goldberg with like a cattle rod or something. Yeah. So then when Goldberg got tased, like he just like was just like out of it, like it. Then like with Goldberg down, then Kevin Nash then recovered. Like Kevin Nash didn't actually see Scott Hall tasing Goldberg. Then Kevin Nash then recovered and then hit a jackknife powerbomb on Goldberg, and then Kevin Nash then pinned Goldberg and won the WCW World Title. Yeah, and of course, like this match, like this was the end of Goldberg's undefeated streak. Like at this point, Goldberg was 173-0. Yeah, he just like was undefeated in WCW since his debut, and this was the end of Goldberg's streak. This was Goldberg's first loss in WCW and in his career. This match of course is like known for that. Yeah, this was Goldberg's first loss. So it was a so I'm sure like this was really looked at as a pretty big moment when it happened, with Kevin Nash being the first one to defeat Goldberg. So that is something else that this event really is known for. And Kevin Nash became the new WCW World Champion. Yeah, but of course, like 8 days later, we did have just the very infamous moment with the finger poke of doom incident with Kevin Nash and Hulk Hogan 8 days later. So really just this Goldberg's streak was really sacrificed for that. Yeah, so it sucked that it had such a shitty payoff, but yeah, this was still like when this happened, this was still a pretty big moment, and overall it was a pretty solid match. So I would give this match probably around like I guess I'll give it 3 stars overall. I mean, overall it was a good match. Yeah, and plus the end of Goldberg's streak was a pretty big moment. So I give that match 3 stars. Yeah. So overall with the show, I guess I would give it probably I guess I would give it I'll go with a 4.25 out of 10. Yeah, I mean, it is a pretty bad show overall. I mean, just the entire middle portion just really did suck, especially like with the with like those 3 matches after the cruiserweight matches. Yeah, I mean, yeah, like those 3 matches were just horrible, and plus, yeah, the Jericho Konnan match was a pretty big disappointment, and and uh, Bischoff and Flair and Giant and DDP really were not anything special either. So really, but so all this really does have going for it is, of course, the cruiserweight matches and the main event. That's really it. So really, just if you really are curious to check it out, I really just say just to check out the like the first 40 minutes or so with the cruiserweight matches, and then just skip immediately to the main event with Goldberg against Kevin Nash. And really, I that's really like all to really see on the show. And if you just want to see like the big moment with like what this event really is like known for, to see the end of Goldberg's streak. Yeah, so that is really like pretty much like all the show has to offer. Just the entire middle portion just is like pretty bad and really forgettable. So so just don't watch the middle portion of the show. Just like watch the beginning and the end. That's really it. So that is really just the best way I can put it. So pretty bad show overall, but it does have like a few things to offer, I guess. So like I said, I give it 4.25 out of 10. All right. So I guess that's all I can really say about it. All right. So Yeah, so this does it for my review of Starrcade 1998. So I hope you guys did enjoy this review. So yeah, so that does it for this review. So thanks for watching, and I'll see you guys later.